So let's talk about something fun and exciting tonight, like the feeding of mango trees. So here's the deal. I want to preface this with that I am not a professional. I'm not an expert. I am not a horticulturist. I am not an arborist. I have no formal training or education in the growing of trees. Anything I have learned has just been firsthand experience, trial and error, trying to mimic the people that are successful. Some of the things that I have learned from mango trees, trying to grow them here in the Phoenix area, is that if you don't know, they can be a problem. Should not be, because mangoes really like summers here. They love long, hot, dry summers. No humidity, no diseases to attack them here. We don't have the bugs and insects that bother these trees here. We have mild winters for the most part. Those are easily dealt with. They like sun. The issue with mango here is pH. It's 90% of the problem, okay? If you Google mango tree pH requirements, you'll see 5.5 to 6.5. If you don't understand what pH is, just Google pH and you can figure it out in about 10 seconds what the issues are with growing some of these trees in a non-native environment. When the pH is out of balance, trees will not eat. The food supply is pinched off. The nutrients are not available to the tree. That's why they look good when they come home from the nursery, and then they slowly start to decline. They never really grow. They'll grow a little bit, but they never do much. The pH in Phoenix is 8.5. It's 2 points higher than what these trees will tolerate. That's the difference between Earth and Mars in the plant world. Not only in our soil, but also our water, which means every time you're watering these trees, you're slowly killing them. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. There are ways to deal with it. A little bit of just educate yourself, a couple minutes on Google, read up on mango tree requirements, salt tolerance, blah, blah, blah. You'll figure out everything that you need to know. The second biggest issue is the sodium, the salt. Mango trees do not like a lot of salt. That's why you frequently get tip burn and edge burn on the leaves. It's no wonder they have problems here. Our water comes from the Salt River. We are also on an old ocean floor. Our salt runs 1,100 parts per million out of the tap. That also is true out of the flood irrigation. Mango tree salt tolerances run 1 to 200 parts per million. We're 8 to 9 times higher than what these trees will tolerate. So the pH locks up the nutrients they're not able to eat. The salt slowly chokes them off. This is why you rarely see posts about mangoes that have been in the ground more than 3 years. I'm not referencing the trees that were purchased last year's 15 and 25 gallon size. And this year, look at me, I'm beautiful, I have fruit on them. I'm talking about stuff that's been in the ground for more than 3 years. The older the trees, the more stored up energy they have in them. That's why 3-gallon mangoes look good for maybe up to a year, and then they just never grow and they decline, die off. 7s, maybe a year, year and a half. 15 gallons, year to 2. 25 gallon and larger can hang on for 2 to 3 years. We see more successful long-term avocado trees here in Phoenix than we do mangoes. It's the truth. I hate to say it. This isn't going to help my business. But these trees need a little bit more work than what we've been doing. They need a little bit more help. Okay? Throwing compost on them is not enough. All you're doing is sticking your head in the sand. Compost, whether it's good or bad compost, and that's a discussion for another day, is not enough to make these trees happy. You have to deal with the pH. You have to deal with the salt. You have to make sure they get the nutrients that are required, that are not available in our environment. The following foods, the instructions, these come from the growers of these trees down in Florida. This is not something I've made up. It is not agenda driven. To deal with the pH, first of all, is going to be sulfur. I use this particular brand, Tiger 90 CR. It is applied 4 times a year. That means every 3 months. It is applied 1 tablespoon per square foot of area. If your tree well is a 4x4, you've got 16 square foot, you need 16 tablespoons. Just throw it down right on top of the mulch. You don't need to do anything else with it. Don't overthink it. 1 tablespoon per square foot of area 4 times a year on anything that is not native. That includes citrus and stone fruits. You will see improvement in your plants because now they are able to eat. Second thing we use is fish emulsion and seaweed. Fish emulsion contains a lot of protein, which turns into nitrogen and other good stuff over time. The seaweed contains a lot of micronutrients that are not available here. Use this 1 ounce per gallon of water. I put 5 ounces in the bottom of a Home Depot bucket, fill it with water, water all my plants with this about every 4 to 6 weeks. I do not use it as a foliar feed. We do have our foliar feed, which can be applied up to every 2 weeks. When the sun has set, spray the tops and undersides of foliage. 1/2 ounce of this per 1 gallon of water. You will figure out the first time how much water you need for your yard. Our foliar feed contains a lot of nutrients these trees need, especially the tropicals. Magnesium, sulfur, boron, copper, iron, manganese, zinc, and a couple things I can't pronounce. You can do it up to every 2 weeks on everything, including when the plants have fruit on them. The third thing, the little green bag, is an 18-6-12 slow release food. Apply this to the top of the pot, on top of the ground. This should be applied 1 tablespoon per square foot of height. Last and final bit, probably the most important after sulfur, is chelated iron and chelated manganese. 2 of the nutrients that mangoes are frequently in short supply of in high pH environments. You do not want straight iron and manganese, as that is not developed for high pH environments. Chelated is. The molecule is protected and able to be eaten by the tree. It does not get absorbed into the high pH environment. If I am explaining any of this incorrectly, any of you brain surgeons out there want to correct me, feel free to do so. I am a complete amateur. I'm merely repeating what I have been told from the growers. Chelated iron and manganese can be used on all of the tropicals. This can be applied through a granular. You can put a tablespoon underneath the soil line at the edge of the root ball for 25 gallon size mangoes, 1/2 tablespoon for 15 gallon, 1/4 tablespoon for 7 gallon, and so on. It does degrade in the sun. That's why they put it right underneath the soil down in Florida. They also do not mulch in Florida like we do here in Phoenix. I throw it into a bucket of water and pour it around the tree. Just because I'm lazy and it seems I just like to do it that way. If you want to throw a pinch of it in with the foliar feed, so be it. Your mangoes are going to want iron and manganese. There's no way around it. Now, I know some of you are not going to agree with these methods. That's fine. These are not my methods. These are the methods of the growers that grow these beautiful trees. For any of you flat earthers, fake moon landing people that wear the aluminum foil on the heads, if you want to fight it, fight science. You're not fighting me, okay? Just Google this stuff. Spend 2 or 3 minutes on Google, do a little bit of research on mangoes and pH and the nutrients that they need and what they're lacking, so on. It's easy to figure out. Our environment is made for mangoes, almost, like I said, minus the occasional bad winter, but we know how to deal with that. You can deal with pH. Don't get scared of it. Don't be overwhelmed by it. Once you understand the science behind these trees and the science of our environment, it's easy to deal with. It can be your friend. So what if it takes you an extra 2 minutes a month to make your trees pretty, protect your investment, get some cool fruit, be able to say you're growing mangoes and avocados and the rest of it? I think that's worth it. It's not that expensive. It just takes a little bit more time. If you have any questions, please ask in our Facebook group, Living the Green Life. Our Instagram page is Seamus_O'Leary_. Sorry the video was so long, but there's a lot of information to get out. You have a good night.